Hey guys, Wolvie here, and this is another video for the channel. As always, the usual disclaimer. Any opinion here is mine and mine alone. So this is a bit of a video log slash miscellaneous thing, and it's on the PC stuff that I have in my apartment thus far. Now, when it comes to all three builds, because I built 3 computers for myself, 2 of which are in a dual monitor, dual tower format. And that's another video for another day. That's all you guys need to know. So with that, I am going to be making some changes to all 3 builds. 2 of them will be like cosmetic minor, and the third one's gonna be a bit more of a major in the sense of like replacing this and replacing that. So without any further delay, and before I get into the photos, all that stuff, I do want to mention that I'm nowhere near done buying varying parts, per se, because there's certain items I will need to get, and this is one of those that's not going to be an immediate project, but it's more one of those where it's like, once I have the financial situation under complete control, if that makes any sense. So, you're kind of wondering about the very nature of this photo right here. So, what's going to be going on in the future? Like I said, it's not going to be right away because I do have a trip coming up. I will be out of state later on this year. So, what's going to happen in the future is where I'm going to be doing some cosmetic and or major changes to all 3 builds. So I'm going to go over the quote-unquote the major changes that's coming up to Odin, and it is, let me see if I can switch hands. It is that build right over there. Now, the reason why I'm saying major changes is because part of it is because of this. Now, what I purchased here is, believe it or not, a 2.5 solid state drive cage. It fits 2 SATA 3 solid state drives, and it fits into a slot that's meant for a singular 3.5-inch hard disk drive. So in the future, I will be updating one of the drives where I have a hard disk drive for 2 SATA 3 solid state drives. Right now I don't know if I want to do 1-for-1, meaning that a 2 terabyte hard disk drive for a pair of 1 terabyte SATA 3 solid state drives, meaning it goes from 1 to totaling up to 2 terabytes. So I don't know if it's going to be that or a pair of 2 terabyte SATA 3 solid state drives, meaning that it's a 1-for-2. I'm doubling the storage in that particular spot. And the reason why I don't know yet is partially because of finances. It's more so like, what do I really want? Is the extra storage necessary? So it's one of those things I am currently thinking about, and it's something I won't have a clear and concise decision on probably until the end of the year at the very soonest. But it is what it is. Now, regarding the thermal paste, I do have a tub of a quote-unquote tube of it in my apartment, so I do have another, and I'm waiting for a third. You can never go wrong with having too much thermal paste. And the reason why for the thermal paste is that I am waiting on a 3-pack of 120mm fans from Lee & Lee. I ordered these online from Newegg, and the reason why I went with Lee & Lee is because I'm going after, let me see if I could do this. Just a smidge. So regarding the what is it? The CPU cooler fan. So it's not the cooler entirely, but it's just the fans. So I'm going to be replacing just only the fans on the cooler for Odin to a pair of Lee & Lee, because I've read, it's something in that's where I've read lots of good stuff on it. They're excellent for cable management. So it's one of those things, it's something I want to improve on Odin's. For me, it's like, I'm one of those people who's like, being a bit of a perfectionist, I want to make sure, things look as clean and professional as possible. And this would help make that possible. So that's down that. And then another thing for all three builds, let me go put this up here, is that regarding this particular can that is compressed air, it's a 16-ounce can. Now, I will be doing some cleaning in all three builds at some point next week, because I know for a fact next week I do have some what's known as paid time off coming, so it gives me more time, grab one build, clean it, decently, don't overdo it, da-da-da-da-da. And the reason why it's a good idea to clean your builds every, whatever time frame, whether it be once a quarter or once every 6 months, but it will vary on the person. The time frame will depend on the person you ask. So that way it helps, maintain as optimal of a performance for the builds as possible. So having something like this is always going to be helpful. Now you're going to see a bit of a blade-like tool thing right over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now this right here, this particular tool, and you see this little sheet, those are going hand in hand. Now you're kind of wondering what's going on. So what the particular sheet here you see, it's what's known as an acrylic sheet. And you're kind of wondering, okay, you're trying to do something kind of nuts, Wolvie. I hope you don't hurt yourself. So to put some ease into everybody, what I'm doing with this particular blade and the acrylic sheet is I'm going to be creating a shroud or cover for the area that's like where the power supply unit is. I'm going to be creating like a little bit of a cover, like to cover, the brand of power supply in both Rated and Deadpool. Now, the reason why I'm doing a shroud is because the shrouds that, I have tied to both Rated and Deadpool, there's no matching power supply unit shroud. Now, I could try to see if I could go for a power supply unit shroud for Odin, but if you look here very carefully, I'm going to zoom in. If you look right here at the bottom of the chases for Odin, there's actually zero room for a shroud. And you don't have to worry about it being exposed for any reason, which is good for varying people. So for Odin, however, I don't think, let me see if I can zoom out. Here we go. So for this one right here, that is Rated, and like I said, I will need to create a power supply unit shroud or cover. So that is what the acrylic sheet is for, is to help me create a unique shroud. Now, I am nowhere near done in the sense of getting the materials needed to create the shroud. What I'm going to be needing first and foremost is a couple of cans of spray paint. One of them is going to be, one of those cans of spray paint is going to be in white because, you want to get that prime coat going, all that good stuff. So that's one thing I'm going to be needing. So yeah, let me switch it. So the first thing I'm going to be needing is a white spray paint, meaning that it gives me, that prime, make sure, whatever colors I use above it, it pops. So that's number one, is white spray paint. Now, I'm going to need a can of black spray paint. Now, black spray paint is going to be one of those that I'm going to have on hand in case, I'm like, okay, do I want, the second coat to be black or keep it white, so on and so forth. So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing I'm going to be needing are decals. The reason why decals are going to be necessary for the PSU shrouds is that that way I can label it, make it my own, so to speak. Now, there are a few things here I already have that I'm going to be okay on. And one of them is going to be painter's tape, and that way I can cover you know, the decals. And when I do cover up the decals, that way, you know, the paint. Let me rephrase it. Once I use the painter's tape over the decals, that way, you know, I get all the spray painting done, and I don't have to worry about like trying to do all the digging, make sure that the decals don't come off after I'm done with the spray painting. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So, outside of that, like, I do have some red spray paint. I do have some red spray paints. However, I may need to pick up another can. So, it's one of those, again, it's a bit of a wait and see on that. So, I definitely need some spray paint, as well as decals. Now, I may need another type of blade, in case the one you see here isn't good enough. But when it comes to the acrylic sheets, if you want to create your own PSU Shroud, Home Depot has a pretty decent selection. And I was fortunate. I wouldn't say I was fortunate. I am fortunate to live literally a few minutes away by foot to Home Depot. It took me a little while to figure out where they are, but Home Depot does have acrylic sheets. And I believe Michael's, and that's a craft store. So Michael's, they also have acrylic sheets, if memory serves me correctly on the matter. So I'm going to be right back. I do need to get some water. Okay, so I'm back. So it's a bit of a recap, and that's Sandy.the.tabby. He says hi. But to do a bit of a recap, I do have some a decent amount of changes coming up for all three of my builds in the coming months. Regarding my buddies build, I still, you know, doing a little bit of research. You know, okay, what items should I get, or why not, etc., etc. Now, for the buddies build, I am building a PC for somebody else. I hope to, you know, do a video of sorts like that in the future. I simply do not know as of yet. So what I have for the buddies build as of now, I have the power supply unit, which is the EVGA 1000 watt. It's 80 plus certified platinum. I have a cat hair. I also have the EVGA RTX 3070 Ti graphics card. I do have a trio of Fantex 120 millimeter fans. There is the for the piece of the CPU cooler is the NZXT X53. It's in black, and I wanted to think certain things over before, you know, I go further with the remaining parts. So that's pretty much all I have so far. Is just the chases, the power supply, GPU, the chases, fans, and the CPU cooler. So those are the only 5 things I have for that build. Now, I do have to send out the build to the buddy once I'm done with it. However, I won't be able to install Windows, the operating server on it, and that's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be involving my information, and I don't want my information out to the wrong people. But that, again, that's a little bit of a life update, and like I said, I am not done with either streaming area. Yeah, I may have mentioned it in my last video. I still need to put in links in part 3 for, like, varying items, as well as other videos. So, and again, I am a bit behind. So, hopefully next week I get to update not only this video, but also the other video with valuable links. And that is that. The next video is going to be back in the Ruby playlist, I believe. That's where I get the most amount of views. So that's that on that. So, I'm done. With Wolvie here signing off, I will catch you all on the flip side.